Welcome to another episode of the BallotCast. Today's guest is Mr. Monty Snelling, who has spent 16 years serving the people of Clark County in the offices of Treasurer and Auditor. He's going to tell you a little bit about what those jobs are, what they entail, and why he's dedicated so many years to doing them well. He's running again for Auditor this year, and he sat down to talk about his upbringing, his faith, and his dedication to serve every single person in Clark County, regardless of what side of the political aisle they prefer. I enjoyed the conversation, and I know you will too. If you do enjoy the show, feel free to share the episode, feel free to share the show as a whole. The most important thing you can do is send it to your friends, your family, your neighbors, and everyone in Clark and the surrounding county so that together we will all be more informed and more well acquainted with the people and the offices that run our local society. If you do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever it takes to get the word out and to get these conversations started. With that, my name is Gavin Burrer, and this is the BallotCast. We are here with Mr. Monty Snelling, running for Auditor of Clark County. Mr. Snelling, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate trying it. First podcast, so if I mess up,
Really?
sorry.
Okay, well, we're here to give you a chance to tell people about yourself, about your job, about the role of Auditor in Clark County, so I think it's going to be a good conversation. And I am honored to be your first podcast, so we'll make it as laid back and interesting as possible.
I appreciate that.
So, first, I want to get into your personal background, everything that's led you up to this point of running for Auditor in 2026. So tell me a little bit about your childhood, where you started, how you were raised, and how we got here today.
Well, my dad was a minister. I was born here in Jeff, but I was raised in Henryville. Country boy. I graduated from Henryville High School, and then I went on to Sullivan College. But I was always interested in politics, even back when I was in junior high school. I was very interested in our country. As I grew older and got into the business world, I could see the differences of the different opinions, the different sway in the parties and how things were ran. And I could see that our country was getting away from being more conservative and loving our nation, more into what can government do for me? And I'm a firm believer that if you run for office, you're doing something not for today, but you're trying to prepare things for someone in the future. And to me, a statesman is someone that doesn't worry about the elections. They worry about the future. And every time I've ever ran for office, I've made people irritated with some of the things I said, but I would always tell them the truth. And that's one of the problems today is people don't hear the truth. There's so many people sidestepping. A good example of that would be in Virginia with the governor there. Everyone thought she was a moderate, and she flipped the switch as soon as she got in office. And now they're stuck with that. With me, you know exactly what you've got. And as I got older, married, had kids, I was in business for myself. Funny how I got into politics is I was a complainer. I complained about things that were going on, especially in Jeffersonville and Clark County. And at that time, Clark County was Democrat, period.
Okay.
We might have one person, I think Ron Groom was in office. But we seen an opening, or they seen an opening, and my son, Jeremy, he was the chairman of the Young Republicans. And he came in mad one night, and I was already in bed. And he said, "We can't run anybody for mayor." And I said, "Why can't you?" He said, "Well, a local attorney, I won't mention, he's dead and gone, his sister jumped into the race to block the Republican Party from appointing someone." He said, "If you're ever going to do anything, it's time to put up or shut up." So the next morning, I went to the courthouse and I signed up to run for mayor, not knowing anything about it. And at that time, the city of Jeffersonville was predominantly Democrat. They hadn't brought any other parts of the city in yet. And I think I got beat by around 1,000 votes, which is actually really good because I ran on a shoestring.
Yeah.
So after that, it kind of got the fever, and then they asked me if I would go ahead and run for the county council, which at that time was one member was a Republican.
Okay.
And I talked to Danny Yost, and 3 of us ran as a team. And from that point on, here I am.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. But
yeah, tell me more about. You said your father was a minister.
yeah.
Tell me more about how that upbringing has influenced your life in general.
My dad told me when I was real young, and I'll remember this my whole life. He said, "Son, always tell the truth because you'll never remember a lie." And if you stop to think about that, it's hard to remember a lie. You don't really know what you said. But if you tell the truth, you'll always remember it. And he always taught me, son, treat people the way you want to be treated. And remember who gives you the power to do everything you do. And I always remembered Ephesians 4:13, and that has always stuck in my mind. So that kind of got things started. And my dad was a minister. He had radio broadcasts. He traveled doing evangelistic work. He was the, before I was even thought of, he was the assistant pastor at the Branham Tabernacle. He left there, and my dad passed away in 1989. He didn't show up for his broadcast that morning, and that's how we found out something was wrong. And they tried to push me into becoming a minister, and I didn't want any part of it. I just didn't want to make that commitment. And then about 3 years later, the man that was doing it had a heart attack. Another man took over. He didn't want to stay there. And I had a dream that kind of persuaded me I won't go into it. And that's when I got into the ministry. And it's been close to 30 years now.
Wow.
I'm pastor at a little church at Underwood as a volunteer. Their pastor passed away. He was a friend of my dad's. They came to my house and was crying. His sister said they're going to close the little church down. It's just a little mission-type church. I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll volunteer for you, and I'll come up and keep it open until you find someone to take my place. And I've been volunteering now for 6 years. So it's just that's the way it worked out.
Yeah.
Because my opinion, a lot of people don't understand this. I feel like the Lord gives me every day. And every day he gives me, I'm supposed to do something to help him. And that's been my motto ever since I've been in office. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent. I really don't care.
Yeah.
If you've got a problem, I'm there to serve you. I might not be able to help you, and I might not agree with your problem, but I'll do what I can for you.
No, I think that's a fantastic way to go about it. Very service-oriented instead of
Correct.
self-oriented. How do you, in the day-to-day, but then also over the long term of so many years, right? Obviously, in politics, it sucks you right in, and it'll spit you right out just as fast. Yeah. But in a sphere of so many people broadly in politics who are looking to serve themselves, who are looking to take as much as they can, how do you consistently remind yourself or refrain from taking part in that and continuing a life of service to other people?
I think that goes back to my spiritual belief.
Okay.
Christ was a servant.
Yes.
He wasn't the master. He was the servant. And a lot of people confuse that, even though he was the master and the leader. But he was always a servant to other people. And I feel the same way. I've got people that, I'll be honest with you, that don't like me, that have come into my office and sat down, and I'll help them just as much as anybody else. Because when you're elected by the electorate of the county, you're there to serve everyone, not your party. Yep. And I've always told my employees, when I first walked into the auditor's office the first time, I told my employees, I said, you do not discuss politics, you don't ask anybody their politics, and you treat everybody the same.
Okay.
And from that, it set the tone from that point on.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my philosophy.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good baseline of service-oriented work. Tell me about, you mentioned, so your sort of journey from trying to stay out of politics, understanding the partisan divide in the nation. Mm-hmm. Talk to me more about that divide and why you land on the conservative side personally.
Well, if you look, a lot of people laugh at this, but if you look in the Old Testament, it says those on the left are wrong, on the right is
Yes,
right.
I've seen this verse.
So that kind of carries through when you stop and think about it. Politics has changed so much. Like I remember when I was a boy, little boy, when John Kennedy won his election. I know my family was supporting Nixon. But today, John Kennedy would be a Republican. He could not get elected as a Democrat. They would write him out on the rail.
Yeah,
That shows how much has changed.
it's true.
And I've told him in church, and it's the same way at the church and how Satan works as it is in government.
Mm.
Nikita Khrushchev one time said, you can't destroy America from the outside. You have to do it from the inside. And we'll take over America without firing a shot. That's why people need to watch what's going on right now. Now, that's not local.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm telling on a national
Oh,
level. Locally, you have some rumblings of that even now. You see some of these candidates that they won't admit it, but they agree with that.
Hmm.
I don't care if you're a liberal or a conservative. Just don't be super left wing and don't be super right wing. Be what you're supposed to be and be true to that.
Yeah. No, that's good advice, to be locally focused on serving people on a personal level, but then also on the national, broader, politically ideology scale, not to be, extreme or
Right.
certainly violent.
Correct.
Is a fantastic philosophy. So you've, on the local level, you've served as treasurer, is that correct?
I was auditor for 8 years.
Okay.
Then I ran for treasurer, and I've been there. This is my last year.
Okay.
And I love the auditor's office. And I've got my own reasons for loving that. Number one, with the team that I had, we turned the county around. And I want to go back to that because of what all is involved with being an auditor.
Yeah. Tell me about the difference between treasurer and auditor. A lot of people might, not understand why or if there's a difference at all.
Well,
What are the offices?
one of the biggest misconceptions is the auditor audits anything. They don't. They don't. All they do is basically, they are the chief financial officer of the county.
Okay.
If you looked at the county government as a wagon wheel, all the different spokes are all the different offices and different groups. The hub is the auditor's office. Everything runs through the auditor's office.
Okay.
In the treasurer's office, what you do there is you handle property taxes, you handle liquor license, mobile home permits, and my job is investing the county's money. Now, while I've been the treasurer, I'm very proud to say, in these financial times, in the past 2 years, I just looked at 2 years up, I have earned the county almost $11 million on their investments.
Wow.
That's outside property taxes and everything.
Okay.
That's just extra
that's just
money
extra.
that goes into
Wow.
the budget.
Okay.
And since I've been treasurer and auditor, we've went from this county being in the red every year and getting written up for being in the red to last year, I think we carried over going into 2026. If I remember right, we had close to a $10 million in our account to start the year off,
Yeah.
rather than being in the red.
Yeah.
And that's because, mainly, and I have to say it is because of the Republican council and office holders.
Okay.
We have really tightened up.
Yeah.
And that people scream about property taxes, even though they don't understand that we don't set that, the state does. By keeping the budgets trimmed and keeping things tight, you don't need as much money.
Yeah.
Therefore, property rates go down. And that's what we have to fight at all the time, is to continue to do everything we can to protect the taxpayer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What are some of the things, just practically, that fall under that budgetary discretion? Like, what sort of things are you allotting money to?
Now, I didn't quite understand what you mean.
So on the county level, when you talk about budgeting and working with the tax dollars, what is included in that? What's everything that covers?
Okay, that is the county council's job. In fact, we're getting ready to start budget sessions. I think the first one's in August.
Okay.
And they've already sent out to trim your budgets. Do the best you can. I can honestly say in the last 5 years, my budget has only increased by what the inflation has reached.
Okay.
I keep it baseline budget. The way I figure a budget, I take how much I'm going to need for the year and I go from there backwards. And if I don't have enough at the bottom, I got to find a place to shave it because I don't want to go over what I've already had. And our council has done an excellent job. In fact, Brian Limford, he's rough around the edges at times. He's a numbers guy, but he has done so much for this council. I was this year in the primary. He had a primary, and he had a fine young man run against him, but I knew we needed him.
Yeah.
And that's why I supported him. And we've got council members on there that are just learning. But as long as you've got that conservative in your mind that I'm not spending my money.
Yeah.
I'm spending your money. And if I'm going to spend your money, I'm going to do it as frugally as I possibly can. In the past, before Republicans actually took over, it was totally different. If you came to the council and you wanted additional appropriation, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
And I watched that and I thought, we've got to stop this. I mean, it's
watching
insanity.
the money flow out.
Just flow out.
Wow. Yeah. What do you think? So, because based on the numbers, there is a greatly different result when Democrats or Republicans are in charge of the finances. Why do you think that is? What are those factors?
I know you've heard this before, and I don't mean to sound like a cliche, but it's the good old boy thing. Seriously.
Okay.
At one time, all your Democrat office holders were actually close ties to the Democrat Party local. If they come in and ask for something, it was like, well, I can't tell him no. He helped me on my campaign.
Yeah.
Or I can't tell him no because he's married to my daughter's friend or something like that. And they would just say yes. And then they would get themselves in financial trouble.
Yeah.
Since the Republicans came in, they come in, and unless it's a court, now the court's a different heathen, they can make you pay them.
Yeah.
But all the other offices, they will tell you no. And if you look at my record, I'm going to say over the last 8 years, I might have asked maybe for 10 additional appropriations only because my vendor raised the price a little bit.
Okay.
And you'll have some office holders, and I don't like to say names, but the public defender, when she was a judge, and even now is a public defender. Look at her record. You'll find that she's at every single meeting wanting more money and more employees.
Yeah.
Her budget as a judge was blown out of proportion. So you had to put a stop to it. And since the Republican judges like Glickfield and Jacobs and the rest of them have gotten in there, they've had that same mentality. And you don't see the bloated budgets anymore. And you don't have the constant asking for more money. That's the difference.
Yeah. That's a big difference because that impacts everybody in the county.
Correct.
You know, that's all of our money. So what are some of the decisions you've had to make about how to steward the tax dollars?
All I can do is follow the rules
Okay.
that the council sets out. What I have done as a treasurer, I know a lot of people, our population is getting older, and a lot of them still want to come in and pay in cash and right in front of you. But with the younger generations, they like electronic. So as treasurer, I've been able to put on, I think, 6 local banks that will accept tax payment, even if you don't have an account with them. So that makes it easy. You drive down the street, you pull in.
Okay.
I've got with a company where you can pay by telephone, debit card, credit card, or electronic check. They've got so many ways to be able to pay their taxes now. And when you look at our rolls every year, we have to go through, and if you're 3 tax payments behind, you're tax sale eligible. And I've been able to work with people. I don't want to see people on a tax sale.
Yeah.
So with the state's help, I've got ways that I can help them not get on that tax. I'll set them up a payment plan, or I'll help them to pay one part, be able to stay off the tax sale. I pride myself in being able to help people.
That's a great thing to pride yourself on. I respect that. So you've held countywide office for, you said, several years.
Mm-hmm.
How many years as treasurer and auditor again?
After this year, it'll be 16 years.
Okay, 16 years. So you have the experience, you have the insight into what it takes. What qualities do you believe, from your experience, are essential for not just auditor or treasurer, but any person who is holding a countywide office?
First thing I would say, don't do it just because it's a job. Do it because you want to help people.
Okay.
Number 2, you have to be transparent. The cover-up is always worse than the crime. So make sure you treat people right up front. Tell them the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. It's like when you're raising a child, sometimes they get mad at you because you say no, but they don't understand why you say no.
Yeah.
It's like I've told people at church, I said, we pray, but sometimes he said he'll answer all of our prayers, and sometimes that answer is no, because he knows what's best for you. Yeah. So you always have to look, what can I do to make it better for the taxpayers?
Yeah.
Not worry about yourself. If you do that, you'll be rewarded. I guarantee you that. I had a man and a woman throw a fit at me the other day, some threats and stuff, and you just have to sit and listen to them and try to calm them down and figure out a way to maybe try to help them. Yeah. I've always had an open door policy. Always have open door. If somebody comes in my office, they'll come around and say, so-and-so wants to see you, send them on back. I could care less. If they want to see me, that means they got a problem.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm there for.
Yeah. That's good. What about how, in your perspective, I just want to ask this generally, that sort of conflict or tension or, I'm trying to think of a word. We'll go with conflict.
Okay.
Between parties or between just purely political divides that transfers into the personal, when you have people beating up on you personally. How do you sort of withstand that and then still offer that olive branch? Because I know that's difficult. For anybody, it's difficult to say, you're attacking me, but I still want to serve you. How do you do that?
70 times 7. And you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Christ said, no matter what they do, you forgive them 70 times 7. A lot of time, I've never really had any problem with the other party.
Yeah.
Because they know I'm going to treat them fair and treat them right. Now, election time, they're going to pop up. There's a couple that would like to see me gone. I understand that. But that's politics. But at the same time, I have to put myself in the other person's shoes. Why are they so mad at me? I don't set your tax rate. All I'm here to do is the government's law and job. So that kind of helps you get along.
Yeah, that's true. So let's say you're talking to someone who is just starting out, trying to get into public service, public office. What's the advice you give them?
Start small.
Start small.
Pick out a advisory board. Pick out something like a school board, something where you can get your feet wet and learn government, because it's never what you think when you come in. I've had so many people tell me, well, I didn't know I had to do that, or I thought I was able to do this. No, you're governed by laws, and you have to know what you can do and what you can't do.
Do you think it's, just as a broad government structure question, do you think it's hyper fragmented as far as like jobs are concerned or roles? Do you think there are too many, or what do you think about that?
No, I think it's pretty good shape right now.
Okay.
Trustees, they wanted to get rid of them, and I see a lot of, we'll say, reasons why people say that. But the trustee is the closest to the public.
Yeah.
They're the ones that when they have a problem, they can go to. So that's why I like trustees. I think some of the smaller ones, they could probably combine them or something like that. But as far as the different offices, no.
Okay.
I think it's okay the way it is.
Yeah. So you said there are a lot of things that you're not directly responsible for, a lot of things that come from the state. I do want to ask you about Senate Bill 1 and just get your thoughts on that, your perspective as someone who's responsible for a large portion of county level finance. What do you think?
Senate Bill 1, I got in trouble for this, but I don't really care. Senate bill was a feel-good bill for the governor. He needed to win quick.
Okay.
I think they went too far, too fast. And that's why you're seeing so many amendments now and trying to straighten things up. I can understand Senate bill, what they were trying to do, but at the same time, they weren't taking in consideration what it was going to do to local government.
Yeah.
If I've got a car payment of $200 a month, and then all of a sudden you tell me I'm only going to get $150, where am I going to get that other $50? I'm going to have to sell my car, get something cheaper. Is that something cheaper going to work?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what government's doing right now.
So it's a sort of, from the top down, it puts the people at the lowest in a kind of a tough spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will say this before you finish this up. Because of the time and effort that the county council has put in the past, and office holders, Senate Bill 1, it will not hurt Clark County near as bad as it will places like the city of Jeff, Clarksville, and so forth. Because we've built in a cushion that we can accept some of this. Still going to be cuts, but at the same time, it's not going to hurt the taxpayer.
Okay, that's good. Because I want to ask about this, and it's good to hear that those steps have already been taken and will continue to be taken to put Clark County in a stable position. But give me an overview, and you've talked a little bit about it, but give me an overview of where Clark County is right now and how we're braced for the next couple of years.
The thing Clark County is facing is the growth.
Okay.
This county is exploding. And you look at the whole state, we're kind of like the rose down here, all the things we're doing. But that puts more pressure on government.
Yeah.
And one thing that you really have to watch is like abatements, how long you're going to leave the abatements out there before you can start collecting tax money. And also, we need to start working together more. I mean, I say that, I'm talking about...
Between parties or?
No.
Okay.
Government entities need to work more. We can share responsibilities and save money. There's a lot of places that we can go in together, like the Jeff... Well, I can't say this. I'll be talking out of term. I'm using it for an example.
Okay.
Say this town's got a parks department. This town's got a parks department. When one gets overrun, have an interlocal agreement with the other one can help them.
Okay.
And vice
That makes
versa.
sense. Yeah.
Rather than raising taxes or having to hire more people, utilize what you have. And you can do that all through government. Kenny Kavanaugh has already said if he gets to be sheriff, he wants to work more with the cities and towns on the county level to help them to take burden off, and there'll be times he'll ask them to help the county. I mean, if you do that and share this, we're all in it for the people, not for ourselves.
That's a good approach. What steps can our county government take to prepare for potential future challenges?
There's really nothing you can do other than sharpen your pencil every year. Do the best you can. That doesn't mean you take care of your employees. That's your most valuable thing is your employees. You need to take care of them. They're not going to get a raise this year, and that's going to be hard on a lot of them. Find a way to give them a little bit, show your appreciation. But with the growth that we've got, you capture that growth in the correct way, Clark County's going to be in good shape.
I think you're right. So you personally, you talked about cross-entity cooperation. How are some ways that you've worked with other entities in the government or other offices? For example, the county council. What are some instances of success that you've been able to work with other people?
When I was auditor before, there's a fund that the auditor has that's non-reverting, that he collects money in or she collects money in. When we were in the old building downtown, the building owner or our manager would come to me and he would say, I need to have like a new ice machine for the break area and I don't have it in my budget. Well, I had it in mine. And the law says I could use it for any legal purpose. So I said, Mark, find you an ice machine.
Legal purpose.
Yeah, I'll buy it for you.
Okay.
I bought that. I bought for other offices. They might need office equipment and they didn't have it in their budget. Well, I had it in mine. Yeah. I'll buy it for you. Yeah. That money's just sitting there. Yeah. So anything I can do to help another office holder, I'm willing to do it.
That's I'm sure they appreciate that quite a bit. So are there instances, I mean, I'm sure there are instances of disagreements like with the council or with those other offices. How do you've talked a little bit about managing conflicts and serving others. Would you say that applies in these scenarios
100%.
too? Okay, good. Do you think that that's broadly appreciated or used, or you still think that on the wider scale that's difficult to grasp for a lot of other people?
It's getting better because we see what we've accomplished and we want to make sure it moves forward.
Yeah, so the future is well set up. So we're moving in the right direction. Right. That's good to hear. Financially, relationally. Talk about politically. So this is an election year. You're running as a Republican. Tell me a bit more about the rest of the Republican field in the Clark County and the townships in these races. Talk to me about that.
Well, I don't know a lot about the townships. I know a few of the trustees. We've got one that we really need to get switched because of the waste has been in that office. I think Q's going to be an excellent trustee. I'll do anything I can to help him. Steve Gill, when he came in as a recorder, he has modernized that office so much. It's running so smooth. Yeah. The auditor's office still has a lot of employees that I hired when I was there.
Okay.
And it's going good. They got a very good chief deputy. Like I said, the judges are working more with the council. It's not that button heads anymore. They get told no. They might flare their nostrils, but they don't go along with it. That's just normal.
Yeah.
Clark County government is running very smooth right now.
Okay.
Other than a couple little glitches.
Yeah. What do you think some of those glitches are, if you would share?
Well, one glitch, in my opinion, is there's a couple places they could save money. I won't say them out loud.
Okay.
But I've talked to council, and I think some of them agree. There's ways that they can find some low-hanging fruit, we'll put it that way,
Yeah.
that would ensure the financial viability of the county.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. What is it like on the Republican side going into this election year?
I can't think of any problems any of the candidates have with each other. Really, it's a very cohesive unit. They all have the same eye on the prize type of thing.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a lot better now than it was. When I first ran for office, I used to tease people and say we could have our Republican meeting in a phone booth. It was that small. It was just not around.
Wow.
But after people started seeing what we were accomplishing, more and more came out. And you'll be surprised how many people that have been Democrats their whole life finally admit, I'm really a Republican.
Wow.
But they finally seen something getting done. And
Results speak for
anymore.
themselves.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you look at the Democrat side, do you see something similar, or do you see a different scenario moving into the 2026 elections?
I really don't want to answer that in a way that's derogatory.
Of course, absolutely.
But I see candidates that are not qualified, that it would scare me to see them get in office.
Wow.
Because they have that mentality of spin, spin, spin.
Yeah.
And also there's some very high offices that I think their leadership would set us back several years.
Yeah. Tell me about when you see that situation. Obviously, you're running as a Republican. You want to see Republicans win. When you approach an election year, talk to me about how you get the word out, how you bring in the votes. What's it going to be like on a broader scale to make sure from your side that these candidates don't get elected and that yours do?
I think the main thing is we work together and we spread the word. We're a team.
Yeah.
If you run as a team, you're going to win as a team. If you try to go out here on your own, you're going to get beat because they will attack you. It's just like the weakest of the herd, and that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, run as a team, win as a team. I like that. Yeah. I like the sound of that. An effective team with many years of results behind you.
Correct.
Okay, so as we look to wrap it up, I want to leave something for the listeners, something for the people who listen to this in the future. If you could go back to your childhood, to your early adulthood, to your business engagements, to your early political career, what are 3 pieces of advice in leadership or governance or relationships with others that you want to give to the younger generation and the people who will come after you?
For the younger generation, you've got your whole life ahead of you. Don't leave any regrets. There's times when you'll be afraid to step out, never afraid to be a leader. Don't finish your life being a follower. Second thing would be put God first, family second, politics third. Don't get those confused. Because if you do that, the politics will come along.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the main things I would tell older people is that are just getting into it, be yourself. I always hated plastic people. And what I call a plastic person is a facade that you can't trust. Let people see who you are and then do what you said you were going to do.
That's good advice. Do you think there are far too many plastic people in the world?
Yes, there is.
Especially in politics. Yeah.
Yes, there is.
It gets absolutely brutal. But thank you for coming on to the BallotCast and telling us more about your life, about the office, about Clark County in general. I think it's really helpful for people to see, we all know we live in this county, but to have an understanding of where it's been, of where it
financially,
and how the people leading it are handling it. Tell everyone how to contact you or how to reach you both as you're in office now and as you're running. How can they reach you? And
they can call me any day they want to call me in the treasurer's office. I take all calls. unless I'm busy, but leave a message. If they want to email me, it's rmontysnelling@aol.com. I'm still an old timer.
Okay.
And you can call the party or any other officer, and they'll know how to get a hold of me. And I'm always available.
Okay, that's great to hear. I know that there are many people who will be very well served by you in both the Treasurer's Office and in the Auditor's Office.
I appreciate that very much.
That's glad to hear. Do you have any final thoughts as we look to wrap it up?
No, not really.
All right, well, in that case, Mr. Snelling, thank you so much.
Thank you very
for
much.
coming on the BallotCast, and we'll look to talk more soon.
Okay.
I want to take a moment to extend a public, open invitation to you to come on the BallotCast as one of our featured guests. If you are currently sitting in office or running for office this November in either Clark, Harrison, Washington, or Floyd counties, I would love to give you the opportunity to come on this show. We'll sit at this table and we'll talk about your life story, we'll talk about your policies, and we'll talk about your vision for the community you are looking to serve. Or, if you're already in office, have served, and we'll talk about the roles and responsibilities of managing our community. If you'd like to come on the show, simply direct message us on either Facebook or Instagram, our socials channels, and we'll have the conversation started. We would love to have you on.